the food a commodity anymore? And the answer is no, it's a coupon or it's a security. So in this particular case, Gensler actually said when he was put in the SEC that staking tokens, if there's a stake and you generate yield, that's an investment contract. He said that a year ago. So I think he's become more forceful in his articulation in the aftermath of the crypto crash. And I think what he's saying is very straightforward. If you want to create a commodity, it has to be without an issuer. It has to flunk the Howey test. And if you've got an issuer, if you've got a small group of people, if they have control of the protocol, then it's probably a security for common sense reasons. I think that the regulators will move forward on this. There'll be some back and forth. There's going to be political debates. Most of the crypto industry has a vested interest in keeping ambiguity, right? Keeping this ambiguous, right? And so most of them, they'll say, well, we haven't gotten clear guidance. Well, there is clear guidance. You know, if you've got a company and you issue equity in the form of a token, it's a security. There's clear guidance, right? If you created a company and you gave yourself the stock and then you sold stock to investors and then you sold the general public and then you keep changing the code that controls what you can do with the stock, it's a security. So I think what Gensler said is just because you don't like the guidance doesn't mean you don't have it, right? To that point, I think that we're going to actually see the industry mature. I think it's getting harder and harder to feign ignorance and for people to be oblivious to these material differences. I think that there are some crypto organizations that are lobbying both sides of the fence, right? And I think that's frustrating. But I also think there are some Bitcoin only organizations that are doing a good job of articulating the ethical benefits of proof of work. I do support some of them, and other people that I know support some of them, and I would encourage anybody to support the Bitcoin only organizations because they don't have a conflict of interest. I think, to the point, if we start from basic principles, we wanted a treasury reserve asset and we wanted a digital gold or a digital commodity without an issuer that could be global and neutral. And so we looked at all of the thousands and thousands of cryptos and we concluded it needed to be a proof of work type asset. And we looked at every proof of work asset and Bitcoin was the dominant, and it was the one with the best monetary policy, with the clearest ideology. And then we asked the question, well, will it be banned? Will it be copied? Will it be hacked? It hadn't been hacked for a decade, so I figured that was good. Will it be banned? As property by the IRS and as a commodity, and we knew it was a commodity. And I think those facts have only improved. I think it's pretty clear there's support in the Senate and Congress and the SEC and the CFTC all through the world, even across many governments, for Bitcoin as a digital commodity. There are a lot of regulators that have concerns about when you use it as a currency because they see it might be threatening to their local currencies. Like every country in the world has capital controls. You can't just move capital out of China. You can't move capital out of Argentina. You can't move capital out of Lebanon or Turkey. So when it's used as currency, you get a lot of capital control issues or KYC issues or the like, AML issues. But as property, it's not controversial. And it looks like even as cross-border payments, it's not going to be. A lot of people are going to allow you to do cross-border payments. So I think that in the dimension of will it be banned, no, it's going the opposite direction. It's not being banned. And now we're back to this issue of will it be copied. It got copied thousands of times, but most of the time the copies were imperfect because the people that copied it didn't understand the engineering elegance. It's like copying the wheel but making it an octagon, or making it a rectangle or something. It's like they copied it wrong it actually was extremely elegant, because the goal of Bitcoin was to be able to support hundreds of trillions of dollars on the base layer and let you build other layers like Lightning and applications on top of it and serve as the foundation. So they copied it wrong for the most part. When you put all the other Turing complete functionality into the other copies, they made a mistake. What they should have done is just copied it right. But of course, you can't really copy the Immaculate Conception, and everybody that copied it wanted to make money. And the point is, if you really wanted to copy it, you need to create something more elegant, and you need to not have any economic interest in it, and you need to give it as a gift to the world, and you can't actually make money off it, and you need to disappear. So that's the way to copy it. I think that the irony right now, and I'll finish my comment, is people are very busy uncopying it. Right, Bitcoin was maybe 75% of proof of work networks before the merge, and now it's 95%. So, in fact, it's been uncopied because people. I used to joke, right? If you have a brilliant engineering insight, your competitor may, in fact, look at it and say, "Why would I want to do that thing?" And so, Bitcoin is so brilliant that many of the competitors, they're blinded by their own personal self-interest and their own egos. And so rather than appreciate the brilliance of it, they don't actually appreciate the fact that the whole point was to avoid having a company or avoid having a counterparty or avoid having a set of programs. Some people think I have to keep changing the code. I have to keep upgrading the software. The brilliance is not changing the software, right? What they don't realize is to be a commodity, you can't keep changing it. But if you're a software engineer, you want to keep changing stuff. So half of the crypto world wants to keep changing the code. And what they don't realize is if you can change the code of Bitcoin, you probably made it a security, not a commodity. And if you remove the energy from Bitcoin, you probably made it security, not a commodity. So the idea that a bunch of smart engineers are going to add a bunch of functionality, change it every year, and suck the energy out of it is converting a digital commodity into a digital security. They just don't have enough knowledge in all of the various disciplines to realize how horrific a mistake that is.
This does perfectly lead me to my next question. So Bitcoin author Gigi, he had a great thread a couple of years ago. A failure to understand proof of work is a failure to understand Bitcoin. With regards to proof of work, the propaganda in the mainstream media right now against it is relentless. It's absolutely everywhere. Around the Ethereum merge, Greenpeace is tweeting at the Bitcoin CEO 24/7, trying to quote-unquote change the code. Why is it, and who is working so hard against proof of work, and why is it that it seems that many people just don't want to understand that it actually can help in many relations? And maybe the second question, what's the situation of Bitcoin mining in the US right now? What developments do you see?
As I get older, I'm more of the opinion that many of these 501c3s, many of these nonprofit charity organizations, they start out with a good idea and then they run out of money. And so then they go look around for someone to give them money. And so I think like 40 or 50 years ago, someone gave money to a Greenpeace type organization to lobby against nuclear power. And probably it was the oil and gas industry that gave a lot of money to these charities to lobby against nuclear power, to shut down the nuclear power industry. And then ironically, another 30 or 40 years, the solar and the wind lobby gives money to them to lobby against the oil and gas industry. And then when they run out of that, other crypto promoters are giving money to these environmental lobbyists. They're just giving them huge amounts of money to lobby against Bitcoin. It's like it's not really bona fide environmental interest. If you're an environmentalist, you would be focused upon saving the trees or saving the seals or doing something in order to cultivate parks and the like, but 99.92% of all the carbon comes from something other than energy that fuels proof of work. So I actually think it's the other crypto promoters that are generating all of the attack points. They're generating all the propaganda. They're feeding it. They're funneling it through academics. They're funneling it through politicians. They're funneling it through 501c3s and through environmental activists. And so you have to just follow the money. And they're funneling it through their lobbyists. And I think their agenda is they're all promoting unregistered securities. So all of these other cryptos are for the most part unregistered securities. And so you have to have a justification for promoting a crypto token that doesn't use energy. Well, if you understood securities law and if you thought about physics, you would realize that when you slurp the energy out of the commodity, it becomes a security. And when you convert the security to be programmatic, when you create a virtual world, a virtual energy, and use virtual machines to create virtual security, to create a virtual token, you've got a software company, and that's equity in the software company, and you created a security, which you're then selling to the general public. And if you're going to sell equity to the general public, you need to do it pursuant to fair and full disclosure that's ongoing every quarter, every year, continuous, because the general public deserves to know who's going to actually change the definition of the token, right? Who's running the company. And so I think that you have an entire crypto industry and a lot of crypto promoters that they got this kind of existential problem, and there's no way to defend it. I mean, there really is no defense to creating a token, giving it to yourself, selling it to the general public, and not disclosing. And so the best way to deal with it is change the subject. So we changed the subject to energy usage is bad. And the reason that you let us exist, and the reason you buy our token, is because Bitcoin is bad for the environment, right? Well, it's bad for the environment in the same way that oranges and meat and buildings and cars are bad for the environment. They all use energy. In fact, hospitals use energy, right? So if I went to you and I said, I'm going to eliminate your hospital and I'm going to replace it with a virtual imaginary hospital that's going to actually lower the cost of healthcare, and I'm going to fix your avatar up, whenever your avatar has an imaginary heart attack, I'll give you imaginary surgery and I'll make you imaginary healthy, and you can pay me in imaginary coins, and then you'll go home imaginary happy, right? I mean, sure, you could do it, but it's ridiculous. It's like meta money to the metaverse with meta energy.
So maybe give us, for the last question, give us your outlook. How is this going to end? Are the other cryptos just going to be ruled securities and just going to basically disappear, and then people will flock into Bitcoin? Is this going to hit Bitcoin maybe? What if the lobbyists are successful and Ethereum becomes a digital commodity, quote unquote? Bitcoin is also being used now on the state level, or at least we see rumors about this. What are you seeing? Where are we going the next couple of years?
Barton Bending, you pretended.
I think that the market is going to become more and more educated, and as the market gets more educated, it's going to see the virtues of Bitcoin as the dominant digital commodity, and Bitcoin's going to get stronger. I think that that regulators, as they focus on this, the more, when you focus on it and you bring a lot of attention to bear, I think they're going to realize that they need to segment the market into digital currencies, digital securities, digital commodities, and they're going to set precedents by their rulings where it's going to become more clear. It's already becoming clear to institutional investors. You can see, for example, you're reading about the comments of the chair of the SEC in the Wall Street Journal on the front page, and you're reading about it in Bloomberg. If you roll the clock back 2 years, I don't think Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal really understood the difference between 10,000 crypto tokens. But I think today it's becoming critical for multi-billion-dollar investors and big banks and big regulators and politicians to understand the difference between a U.S. dollar stablecoin and crypto property in the form of a Bitcoin and a crypto token that's a security. And they, there will be a lot of sound and fury for the next couple of years while we sort it out. But I have confidence that the world will eventually sort it out because there are physics involved here and there's a lot of rationale involved here. So I think the first stage is sorting out the crypto segmentation and people realizing the difference between a crypto commodity, a cryptocurrency, a crypto security, and a crypto exchange. And they're going to get regulated, and 80 to 90% of the capital is going to sit in the regulated world, and then there'll be a gray market that will fester on for a while. And that'll continue. The second stage, right? I mean, if you think about it, first people need to understand why Bitcoin is a superior crypto asset to every other crypto asset for a long-term store of value or for sovereignty. That was the first thing MicroStrategy went through. The second thing they need to understand is, why is Bitcoin superior to gold as a bearer instrument or a commodity or precious metal store of asset value? And so that's going to be the second stage. And the third stage is, why is Bitcoin as crypto property superior to other forms of property? Right? The crypto world has about $1 trillion worth of money floating around, and we're trying to sort out which is the superior crypto asset, right? And for what? And the truth is, I really believe the killer application is a Lightning wallet on 8 billion smartphones that has US dollars as a short-term medium exchange and payment network and BTC as a store of value. And it runs on Lightning, and then it is
Hey, what's up, Andrew? I've been Just put a hood on Joe. Just put a hood on mine.